Hey man, one of the hardest truths to accept in this game is that the more you chase her approval, the less she values yours. That sounds backwards, right? We're raised to believe that giving her compliments, reassurance, and validation will win her heart. But the reality is, the more a man pours validation into a woman without making her earn it, the faster her attraction fades. Because the moment she knows she doesn't have to do anything to get your approval is the moment she stops respecting your energy. But when you don't validate her, when you hold your praise, when you observe instead of flatter, when your eyes say prove it, that's when she starts working for your attention. This isn't about being cruel or emotionally closed. It's about creating polarity. See? Most men rush to validate her just because she's beautiful. They lead with praise. They shower her with attention. They try to win her with kindness. And in doing so, they remove all mystery. They collapse the chase. But the man who doesn't hand out compliments like candy, the man who sits across from her and holds eye contact without folding, the man who doesn't flinch when she seeks his approval, that man forces her to feel something real, something different, something rare, because now she's no longer reacting to attention, she's trying to earn it. Every time you validate her unnecessarily, you're making a silent statement. I see you as above me. I'm lucky to be here. Please like me. Even if you don't say those words, she feels that energy, and that energy makes her lean back. She may smile, she may say thank you, but emotionally, she's less intrigued, less invested, because women don't attach to what's freely given, they attach to what they have to work to keep. And if your approval is automatic, then your presence feels common, but the man who stays grounded, who observes before praising, who notices but doesn't need to express it constantly, he becomes a challenge she wants to conquer. It's in the pause before you speak. It's in the look you give her when she's trying to impress you, and you just smirk instead of praising. It's in the silence after she asks if you like something and you calmly say, "It's alright." That restraint, that calm, emotional self-control, it drives her insane in the best way. Because now she's not getting the response she's used to. She's not in control of the emotional rhythm. You've disrupted her pattern, and in that disruption, you've created desire, not by giving more, but by giving less than she expects. You need to understand how validation affects feminine psychology. The moment a woman feels that you need her to feel good about yourself, she loses interest, because her subconscious doesn't want to lead, it wants to respond, it wants to be pulled into your frame, not to pull you into hers. And when you stop validating her every move, you stop chasing, you start leading, and that leadership, that detachment from her emotional roller coaster becomes irresistible, because now she's not just reacting to your affection, she's chasing your respect. A woman doesn't want to be with a man who validates her just to keep her around. She wants to be with a man who makes her feel chosen because she earned it. And if you give away your praise for free, you rob her of that experience. You rob her of the high that comes from earning your approval. And what's earned is valued, it's protected, it's remembered. That's why when you don't validate her, when you stay calm, centered, and just a little out of emotional reach, she doesn't feel rejected, she feels challenged. And that challenge creates craving. This is where most guys mess up. They think, if I don't validate her, she'll think I'm not interested. But that's only true if you're cold or disrespectful. But when you're warm, yet measured, present, yet not gushing, that's the sweet spot. She feels your attention, but she doesn't feel in control of it. She senses your presence, but she's not certain if she has your admiration. That uncertainty is what hooks her, because the female mind doesn't crave security. It craves clarity through effort, and you just became the man she wants to prove herself to. You validate her not with praise, but with your pace, with how slow you move, with how you take your time to decide, with how you give her space to come to you, instead of always reaching out first. Your energy becomes the reward, not your words. Your consistency becomes the compliment. And she starts to realize that your attention isn't earned by beauty, it's earned by behavior. Now she's not just trying to be seen, she's trying to be chosen, and that desire flips the whole dynamic. When you stop validating her, she has to sit with her own feelings, and in that space, she starts questioning things. Does he like me? Why didn't he respond like other guys? What does he think of me? Those questions aren't signs of distance, they're signs of emotional engagement. She's mentally looping, and every time she loops, she invests. She imagines your thoughts, she replays your reactions, and without saying a word, you've become the man she can't stop thinking about. The secret here is, don't give validation she didn't earn. If she showed up late, don't compliment her dress. If she's being cold, don't reassure her. If she's pulling back, don't chase. Your restraint in those moments tells her, your beauty isn't enough, your behavior matters here. And when she feels that, she stops taking your approval for granted. She starts adjusting, starts softening, starts working for the affection you once gave away too easily. Once you stop validating her impulsively, you'll notice a shift, not just in her, but in yourself. You start to value your own energy more. You stop seeking connection through praise. You stop needing to be liked. And that emotional independence, that's what makes you stand out. Because now you're no longer trying to impress her, you're impressing yourself by staying in your masculine center. And from that center, everything you give becomes more powerful, because it's not driven by need, it's driven by choice. Eventually, she'll start to mirror your energy. She'll text first, she'll compliment you. She'll start trying to do the things she knows you notice. And all of this happens not because you withheld love, but because you made it valuable. She realizes that you're not another guy looking for her approval. You're a man who's watching her behavior to see if she's aligned with your standard. That shift puts her into a responsive state. And women want to be responsive. They don't fall for men they lead. They fall for the ones they follow emotionally. There will come a moment when she directly seeks your validation. She might say, "Do you think I'm pretty, or did you miss me?" And right there in that moment, you hold all the power. If you rush to reassure her, the tension dies. But if you pause, smile, maybe say, "I don't give that away so easily." Or maybe, with a calm tone, you've just fed the fire without collapsing into it. That's the art, responding without surrendering. You let her feel your warmth without handing her your frame. And that balance is what creates obsession, not just attraction. The longer you maintain this energy, the more she starts working for your attention instead of expecting it. She starts dressing up more. She becomes more thoughtful. She starts giving what she used to withhold. Why? Because now she's chasing a feeling, and that feeling is earned approval. You've become the prize, not because you said so, but because you treated your validation like a currency, not a coupon. And the minute she feels that, she stops looking at you as just another man. You become a standard she now measures other men by. Some men confuse this with emotional unavailability, but it's not about shutting down, it's about staying measured. You can be emotionally intelligent, affectionate, and connected without over-validating. It's about pacing your expressions, speaking when it matters, complimenting when it's earned, letting silence say what your words don't need to. That restraint, it shows emotional maturity, and maturity is what turns temporary interest into long-term respect and attachment. When you stop validating her constantly, she begins to understand that attention has value. And once she understands that, she treats yours like something rare. She stops demanding your time. She starts showing up better in your presence. She realizes that being with a man like you isn't about being beautiful. It's about being present, kind, respectful, and real. And when she brings that version of herself to the table, then she earns the validation she was chasing. And when you give it, she feels it. Because now, it means something. You also begin to unlock something deeper. Emotional contrast. When she doesn't get validated constantly, even the smallest compliment lands like lightning. A single "you looked good tonight" will replay in her head for days. One genuine moment of warmth after weeks of calm detachment will soften her completely. Not because you changed who you are, but because you know how to use your attention like a weapon. Not for destruction, but for emotional precision. Here's the deeper secret. When a woman can't easily access your praise, she starts searching for connection through behavior. She wants to earn your admiration, not just receive it. And this makes her more thoughtful, more nurturing, more intentional with her energy. She steps into her feminine, not because you told her to, but because your masculine restraint pulled it out of her. And in that space, the relationship becomes less about performance and more about polarity, less about approval and more about alignment. You're not doing this to play games. You're doing this to stay in integrity, because when you validate too much, you lose control of your energy. You start performing. You start chasing her validation through your own. and when she feels that, she checks out. But when you stop that cycle, when you root yourself in presence and self-worth, and only validate when it's deserved, you regain your power. You become a man who speaks only when something must be said, and that voice, that energy, it becomes something she can't stop chasing. So the next time you're tempted to validate her too quickly, pause. Ask yourself, did she earn this moment? Is my praise reinforcing value, or is it chasing closeness? Because the man who knows how to give affection without surrendering his emotional frame, that man becomes unforgettable. Not because he made her feel good every minute, but because he made her work for the feeling and then rewarded her with something real.